Hello and welcome to the Cynical Optimists podcast. Wait, no, I can't say podcast. I'm going to say it is the podcast you're looking for. Let me try again.
I'm going to leave this in.
Hello and welcome to the Cynical Optimists. It is the podcast you're looking for. I am Phil.
And I'm Nick.
And as you may have guessed from that witty opening line, this week is The Last Jedi. I mean, if you've spent any time online, you've seen some shit about it. You've seen a whole plethora of opinions, and now you get to hear ours. And I only vaguely know Nick's. Nick has no idea what I'm going to say. But to keep the anticipation going, we're going to start off as usual with the film and TV news.
Not a lot of TV news as usual, except we've got a clip from the Doctor Who Christmas special. That's going to be released in a week. It's a week. It's a week today.
A week today is Christmas.
We're recording on the publishing date today as well, which is
a new one.
It means we're so current.
We're the most current we've ever been.
But yeah, it seems to suggest Bill is still like the companion throughout the episode, and it's not just like a cameo, or it might be an extended cameo, but she looks like she's part of the main action, which is interesting.
See, because one of the things I saw, because Doctor Who Facebook page can't help but spill their guts.
Yeah.
To put it politely, she wasn't actually in the original draft for the episode. She was added in later, so I can kind of understand why she wasn't in the original draft. So it's how organically, it kind of comes.
I kind of wanted to see. Apparently, it's going to be a lot of fun, but it might just me. But I kind of wanted to see like a miserable two-Doctor kind of end of the line kind of story.
Yeah,
which would have been interesting and a bit refreshing. But hey ho,
I don't know. It's very difficult because the two Doctor stories are typically like
fun romps.
Yeah, they're basically fun fromps. Yeah, and to be honest, like that's one of the reasons I like Day of the Doctor. At the end of the day, is it's just kind of like the inter-Doctor kind of fun.
Yeah.
But to be honest, if you're going to do two Doctors grumping around each other, which I guess would be a grump.
I would love that though.
No, I think it'd be these two Doctors which would do it.
Yeah.
Because they're the two grumpy Doctors.
Exactly.
All you need is Chris Eccleston there, I guess.
I kind of, because I still have a real big soft spot for The End of Time, Part 1 especially, because it's proper moody.
Yeah.
And it feels like the end of a big tenure. So.
Yeah.
But hey, we gotta be positive. It's hopefully gonna be good.
We're gonna be optimistic.
Exactly. And apparently Peter Capaldi has assisted Stephen Moffat in writing his regeneration scene.
Good.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Apparently it could be a bigger regeneration, like a more explosive regeneration. Apparently they've decided to keep making them more explosive each time. So obviously Christopher Eccleston was kind of just blare of light, then David Tennant destroyed his TARDIS, Matt Smith destroyed like
a Dalek fleet,
and now apparently it could get even more explosive.
Peter Capaldi's going to destroy the universe, and Stephen Moffat's just going to fix that, Chris.
He's going to destroy the current writers' room of Doctor Who.
It's going to destroy your expectations.
So yeah, that's interesting. Love Actually is on Netflix.
Yes, I saw one of my friends tweeting about that.
I'm not grasping at straws for news here at all.
How old is Love Actually now?
I don't know.
Like
2004, I want to say?
Yeah, I was thinking it's probably around the 15-year mark.
I think it's pretty good though. It's a good film, solid Christmas film.
Yeah.
I know one person that doesn't like it, and bless them, they're on a bit of a mission to try and find someone else who doesn't. Bill Nighy's great in that, isn't he?
Yeah.
The film news, there's not a lot, but there's a big one. This is a continuation of a previous story. Disney has done it. They've bloody bought up 21st Century Fox, or the film assets of, and the TV assets of. I'm going to exclude all the boring stuff. It's $52.5 billion.
Yeah. I know, right?
What they've got is X-Men, Fantastic Four, Deadpool, Avatar, Alien, Predator, Kingsman, The Simpsons, Family Guy. They got a lot.
King of the Hill.
King of the Hill.
The original masters of the Star Wars original trilogy.
Well, that's I think the most interesting bit I've got down here is that now they've got the rights, the distribution rights to A New Hope. I think they might have had Empire and Return of the Jedi, but A New Hope was the costly one because it was new, and Fox put in a lot of cash for that. So
yeah,
but now it's back. So original re-releases.
Yeah,
maybe?
I can imagine that'll be coming as because basically it'll just be a way to print some money.
Oh, if they could crank it out before the end of the year, they'd get it in time for the 40th anniversary.
True, but considering we've got 2 weeks left of this year,
go on, crank it out.
Unless Disney literally had the presses ready to go.
I'm sure they already had the high, because apparently Gareth Edwards, when he did Rogue One, watched like the high res 4K remaster of the original A New Hope.
Oh wow!
This was at the Skywalker Ranch. That's where they had it. So I think they've got access to it.
It's more of public release.
Yeah, I mean unlikely, but I can dream. Otherwise, they might have to wait. They might have to wait 10 years because they won't just release it randomly, won't they?
You never know.
I doubt it. I reckon 10 years they'll release these steel books if hard copies are still a thing in 10 years.
They'll actually release all the Star Wars movies without any of their CGI.
just blue screens, still blue.
Yeah, that fight in Revenge of the Sith will literally just be Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen running along.
It's the in-camera sound. It's real. No John Williams score. You can just hear the lightsabers just tapping against each other. Really. Ugh. Yeah, do it. What else we got? Yeah, so X-Men and Fantastic Four and Deadpool and all that is now... It's going to be in the MCU.
Yeah. I can see...
How quickly can they crank this out, do you reckon?
They did pretty quickly with Spider-Man, to be
yeah.
fair. So, I think...
And they could have... I think they just took the decision quite late on, so... With Spider... I mean, you could just CGI... I mean, actually, it's easier with Spider-Man because he's in a suit. Whereas they could just quickly shoot a scene, couldn't they, for Infinity War, just when they nip past a different universe or something, and Wolverine's there or something, and then they nip back to their universe.
No, I think what they'll probably do is Marvel will probably do Fantastic Four first, because there's less going on with that. They'll probably let Fox continue with
Yeah.
They'll probably pick up Fox's X-Men universe, but because no one liked the most recent Fantastic Four, I'm thinking Infinity Wars Part 2, or whatever it's now called, because apparently it's not a two-part thing anymore. It'll be like the post-credit scene will be like some hint. It may not be Fantastic Four. It'll be the first hint towards one of the Fox properties coming over into the MCU.
Right, yeah.
And then just I don't know, on-screen text.
I reckon
we're going to have a billion phases of movies now.
I reckon they'll just drop the word mutant in Infinity War at some point.
Yeah.
Just a real low-key, just hey, do you know there's a mutant over there?
No, they'll be hey, there'll just be one character who's I don't like the name Inhuman anyway, when we just call them mutants.
Wee.
And then that'll also wipe the Inhumans TV show.
No, I still think Thanos should just swipe through the moon. Just instant cancellation, you know?
But then, have you heard some of the jokey things that people have said, as well? Because now it's Disney, you could have Homer Simpson and Kingdom Hearts and things like that.
Yeah.
It just opens up a huge world of crossovers.
Do it. Nah, don't. Deadpool is still going to be rated R, apparently. I hope they keep the same Deadpool universe and the same actors and stuff, because I think they're all great. I think Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Perfectly cast film. Yeah, so I kind of... I don't know, I like the X-Men universe as well at the moment. I like Fassbender and McAvoy and all that, but I don't know, I just reckon they'll clean slate it like they did with Spider-Man.
But the thing is, though, the reason I said Fantastic Four is that Spider-Man, at the time of acquiring, had just come off the back of a really panned film.
That's true, but I think people still liked Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone.
They did, but I don't think the Spideyverse was going to take off. And I think...
That's the trouble with the film primarily set in New York as well, is how can you integrate that into canon when you've just ignored everything else in New York previously? Yeah,
and that's the thing is how are you going to integrate any of the other stuff? Isn't it the Baxter building? It's going to be oh, maybe that's who Avengers Tower was sold to.
Oh, yeah. Or what's his face? Bloody Oscorp.
Yeah.
Could be an Oscorp building. That'd be cool.
Yeah. So I think Marvel keep stuff vague enough
Yeah.
that they could be like, oh look, we were digging a hole and found Wolverine.
On the Canadian border or something, just randomly.
Yeah.
That's all I got, unless you want to chat more about the acquisition.
We could do like a Synopt extra after this, couldn't we?
Could.
Where we just literally talk about the stupid ideas we can think of off the top of our head.
I don't know, because I don't think I don't know. I like the X-Men universe. I didn't watch Fantastic because it looks shit.
That's on Netflix, isn't it?
Is it? I might catch it at some point. But yeah. I mean, good. Disney's good, isn't it?
They're going to own everything.
Yeah, I mean, that is it worrying? It's
they're
kind
going
of
to own
worrying.
the distribution rights to the Cynical Optimists podcast one day.
What does this mean? I mean, do you reckon less filmy films? Because Logan, like for instance, was made as like a filmy film.
I don't know. I think considering what we're going to discuss in our discussion, I think there is. I don't think it necessarily means less filmy films.
Ooh, here we go. Spoiler.
But gonna have to, leave you that tease for a second. And I've got a segue.
Go on.
If that works.
Well, you had the Simpsons Kingdom Hearts thing, but
that's true. But this one is an actual piece of news, not just something I made up. Detective Pikachu has a release date of summer 2019.
oh yay!
So don't have. Well, I guess it is still a long way off, but it's only a year and a half. Do you get to see Pikachu? I'm hoping cracking murder cases.
Wait, what was
Really,
the segue?
really
Because I was
dark.
talking about Ryan Reynolds a minute ago. You could have.
Well, Detective Pikachu. Oh yeah, it's Ryan Reynolds' voice is Detective Pikachu.
There you go.
It's also a film, and it's a film of a game. Game news.
Smooth as ever.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't got any kind of... Because usually I have like one story where I do a bit more research and a bit more linking it all together. But because of what's been going on with the FCC in America, that's been taking up a lot of the news cycles.
Oh.
Guys, that's a bad choice. But it still needs to go through, I believe it can still be stopped by like the American Congress, I think, or the Senate.
I am the Senate.
So it's not like sold, but yeah, pretty sucky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, Pokemon Crystal is getting emulated on the Nintendo 3DS.
Wait, which one's Crystal? The Ruby Sapphire extension?
It's Gen 2's combination one. It went gold, silver, crystal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I freaking love silver and gold. Oh, yes. Wait, it's got emulated on what?
3DS.
Huh.
So you'll be able to play it on your 3DS on the go.
Or 2DS.
Or 2DS.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I doubt
I need to
they're gonna
dig that
have
out,
any
actually. It's in
3D elements.
saw it earlier where I was looking for a tripod. It was at the bottom of my bed. I was like, oh, yeah, I own a 2DS. I forgot about that. That was the big console purchase, if you remember the last season. So, just a quick update. It's at the bottom underneath my bed.
It was definitely a worthwhile purchase. For the one game Nick got halfway through.
Don't want to think about it.
Last week I talked about the Game Awards, and it turns out it was just me who forgot it was on, because actually quite a lot more people watched this year's Game Awards. 11.5 million people tuned in.
Wow.
See, I thought it was going to be less, purely because I didn't watch it. Turns out not everyone has the same viewing habits.
If I
as
knew
me.
someone that was going to watch it, out of everyone I know, it would have been you, and you didn't watch it. So
Therefore, if you extrapolate that,
that
no one
means
watched
0% of the population watched it.
That is up from 3.8 million that watched last year.
Wow, people bloody love games, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's still nowhere near a legitimate awards show. I'm very sorry to say. It didn't have as much over the top blatant advertising as last year, from what I hear. It literally had like product mascots like in the crowd and things like that. It was just a bit cringy. But it did have Joseph Fares and his swearing about the Oscars, so maybe that did it.
This is the guy that made the game...
The prison game.
That's the one, yeah.
Notice how you've forgotten about the prison game, but you're remembering the man. Probably wasn't a good appearance, then, is it, if he's trying to be an advertisement for his game. Assassin's Creed.
I know them.
Yeah,
I'm aware.
Yeah, at the moment, because Ubisoft do like free games like every once in a while, Assassin's Creed 4 is free on PC at the moment. Black Flag.
Oh, Black Flag's a good one.
Yeah. So
Good.
Go over to Ubisoft's website and you can
that's very
get
nice
yourself some pirate adventures.
Crikey. They're a lot nicer than EA, aren't they?
They are, well, they still make some stupid decisions, but not as bad as EA.
No. Yeah, but costumes, I seem to remember, are always free on Assassin's Creed. You could unlock costumes and stuff like that.
Yeah. But then you should be able to do that in everything, really.
In fact, once I... wait, what was it? Yeah, because I think I played all of them on PS3 right through to Rogue. Like, I played every single Assassin's Creed right through to Rogue. And then suddenly Rogue was like, hey, you've played all of the games. Here's Ezio's and Altair's costumes. I was like, oh, that's very nice.
Yeah, that's a good way of
nice,
rewarding, like, continuous.
I still like that franchise. I mean, I haven't played the last 3, but...
I like that franchise, you know, as a friend. So yeah, Harry Potter, you know this as well.
I know of Harry Potter. Good bloke.
Solid darts player. There's a Harry Potter mobile RPG coming.
Harry Potter Go.
Yeah, it's in the works. Harry Potter Hogwarts Mysteries is its name, and it will let players create their own Hogwarts student.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool. It's following the same as, you know, I guess Sonic Forces with making your own OC. Make your own Harry Potter student. Do not steal.
Yeah.
Have your own magic adventures.
Yeah. This will be like Pottermore. Everyone will see what it's about and then immediately delete it.
Well, it's a mobile game, so it'll be like, oh, this is really cool for about the first week.
I'm
and
then
everyone will drop it.
I'm going to say it won't even make a week. That's my prediction.
But yeah, that is basically, it's in the working. This is how much I'm kind of reaching for news this week. Not as reaching as you saying Love Actually is on Netflix.
But it's going to be one hell of a discussion though, so... Oof.
And also, the last bit, second to last bit, it's actually something I forgot to mention last week, which was part of the announcements at the Game Awards, is that the new Zelda DLC gives Link a motorbike, which is pretty cool.
Like it.
So he's got, I think it is still called the Master Cycle, as it was in Mario Kart. But
just shift a little bit closer to the mic.
Sorry,
you're reclining to impossible levels.
Yeah. I hope I've not made it too quiet for
you're just slowly
editing.
yeah, so basically leave this in, it's fine.
But yeah, would you play a Zelda game with a motorbike?
Yeah, but they should give Zelda a motorbike.
I guess, yeah.
It's a game about Zelda. I'm doing that thing again.
He's doing the thing again.
Yeah.
If you want to know what thing we're referring to, watch the Amazing Zelda Quiz episode and listen to Nick's amazing Zelda knowledge. And finally...
Zelda's such a good playable character. Yeah. One of my favourite protagonists in video gaming, I reckon.
Even more than Metroid.
Yeah, I reckon.
And finally, I know you don't watch, but you know of Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
I know of Dragon Ball Z's.
Dragon Ball Z is Abridged, the parody.
Yeah.
The team behind that are making their first game.
Oh.
So that was announced last week. It's called Super Knockoff Versus, and it's quite a clever name actually, because all the characters are like knockoffs of like Japanese manga characters, because obviously they wouldn't be able to get any kind of license rights. So it's all like, one of them is like, if you ever remember from when we were little, Card Captors, which was because I know my sister was very into it. But basically, it's a lot of ones where you're like, I think I recognise them from somewhere, but it's like the name's been changed. But it's also a 2D fighter, so you have to try to knock them off the screen like Smash Bros.
Right, yeah.
So I thought
that sounds fun.
Quite a clever name, actually. But yeah, that's just been announced as being in development, which is quite cool. Do you have any kind of segue? Enough knocking off. It's time to kick off our discussion about Star Wars.
I'd like to knock The Last Jedi off my bloody movie marathons of Star Wars. That's what I'd like to do. Nah. It's alright.
I was going to say, you're too much of a purist to get rid of the shit ones.
It's true.
Even though...
Is it a shit one?
No. I liked it.
I borderline.
I appreciated that it was doing something. Like, the more I think about it, the more I like it. Like,
See, I'm the other way around. I came out of it with quite a buzz, and then I was like, hang on, I didn't like a lot of this movie.
I appreciate what it was trying to do. Bear in mind, when it fails massively.
Spectacularly.
We're going to stick to non-spoilers for, let's say, at least 10 minutes.
If Attack of the Clones is your favourite Star Wars film, you are in for a treat.
I think that's an unfair comparison. The dialogue was not that...
Okay, no. I would put this film on par with Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, I saw that in your ranking. I thought that was... See, I would put it higher just because of... It is not your standard Star Wars film, and as a result, I would put it higher.
I don't know. I think it is... It's boggo in the middle. I don't know. I think it is, like, structurally identical to Revenge of the Sith. Like, in that it kind of kicks off in quite a amusing way, and then there's just a massive slump, and then things kick off again towards the end. And that's not really a spoiler, but...
No, it's not really a spoiler to say that film has peaks and troughs.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's the longest Star Wars film. I think we reported that. I think
one of my main criticisms is, if anything, too much happens. There are too many plot points they're trying to get through.
There are. In fact, by the end of the film, I feel like a lot has happened, and yet nothing has happened.
Yeah. But I still liked it.
What's your ranking? Because I would go... I think my ranking was 5, 4, 7, Rogue One, 6, The Last Jedi / Revenge of the Sith, Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace.
See, this is kind of mixed things up again, but mine is, as always, 5, 4, Rogue One,
okay, yeah,
7/8, 6,
really? You'd put
3,
this,
1,
You'd put
2.
this on par with Force Awakens?
Yeah, because The Force Awakens was the world's most expensive fan film, and this was
This felt like more of a fan film than The Force Awakens.
No, because Force Awakens was too safe, and I did appreciate that. Like, this was like, that's why when you mentioned in the news like about whether there was going to be any films anymore, I was like, well, surely this is proof that Disney is still going to let a director do his vision.
They did let the director do his vision, but I feel they should have got in Joss Whedon to edit it, because it needed some serious cutting here and there.
Yeah, there's
one scene in particular that I won't spoil, but that should have been cut like pronto in relation to some context. Like, I don't know. I feel like that film needed a serious edit. Like, that's what I love about The Force Awakens. That it's a bit glossy and it's a bit shiny and it's a bit Disney, but that is like continuous, like bam, 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 bam. And
I don't know. The first half of The Force Awakens is very good because it's so because it's such a build up.
It's slow,
but then as a result,
it's still like it's snappy. Like, every scene kind of feels like it's there for a reason, and it kind of develops quite naturally.
And I still think the second half of The Force Awakens is incredibly rushed.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I don't know. I think The Force Awakens is a really well paced film. Like, I could watch it again and again with no.
Oh yeah, I watched it the night before I went to see The Last Jedi.
There's no boredom in The Force Awakens. And I know that's kind of like it's glossing over, but it's doing the Justice League thing where they just cut it until it's like it's so frictionless. You could just glide over the entire film. Whereas I feel like The Last Jedi was a very rubbery kind of material that was a bit of a chore to try and slide over.
Yeah. I was going to say, keeping to the non-spoilers for the time being, I thought the cast all did well.
Yeah.
the new addition, the character Rose, who we'll talk about more in the spoilers, I think she made quite a welcome addition.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'll talk about the whys, later on. I think, obviously, Mark Hamill was just, as always, amazing.
I thought this was his best performance as Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah, his stuff was amazing. And why hasn't he got more jobs? Okay, he might be turning them down, but he's barely in anything, but he's incredible.
Well, the thing is, he does more voice nowadays, doesn't he?
Yeah, I know, but
this just kind of showed that there's still a live action actor.
I thought he brought more personality and more effort than Harrison did, but Harrison keeps getting. I mean, I love Harrison. Don't get me wrong, but he's picking up loads at the moment. He's doing.
Yeah.
He's pumping them out, all of his throwback films. But Mark and Hamill was just incredible in this film, and the energy in every scene is just top notch.
Yeah.
He puts into it.
I thought if we're going to stick on the returning characters, I thought it was a very good from Carrie Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing you're like me, like, oh no, realising that it was the last film and kind of stuff like that. But I think it was a very good performance.
And when we say the last film there, that's not spoilers. They've said they're not gonna attempt to recreate her.
Yeah.
Via CGI in episode 9.
Yeah. We can possibly talk in the spoiler chat as to how we think that will go down.
Yeah.
But I liked Adam Driver's Kylo Ren a lot more than in The Force Awakens.
Fantastic, yeah.
In The Force Awakens, no offense, he was a bit of a whiny little bitch.
I liked him in The Force Awakens a lot, but yeah, in this film he's
he's such a more well-rounded character.
Yeah.
And I liked Daisy Ridley's Rey a lot.
I liked her less in this one purely because she doesn't get a lot to do.
I don't know. She's we'll get to some of her plot points, but I think, it's no real difference to Luke and Empire if we're going to make that. If we're gonna draw that comparison this early on, he doesn't get that much to do during the film apart from being in the scenes with the old master.
Okay, but the difference is Empire, as we know, starts off with a bit of an action plot point for Luke. Rey, we know this leads straight on from Force Awakens. This isn't a spoiler either, but there is a good chunk of her on the island where she isn't given huge amounts to do.
I thought I found that we can talk more in detail in a few minutes. But I thought Finn's character didn't really have that much to do.
No.
Now his arc in The Force Awakens kind of ended with him kind of fighting and losing to Kylo, and then they didn't really know what to do with him.
Poe was good in this film.
I liked Poe. I like his character arc.
Yeah.
A lot of people were I know that's one of the things that people were complaining about, but I did actually quite like the way they're kind of taking his character.
So do I, actually. Yeah, an awful lot, actually.
New people was there's a new general that she was all right.
Holdo.
She was all right. I do get it, and I do appreciate that she was just doing the lines. I think one of the criticisms I got was I read somewhere that could have been a role because people were criticising that was a woman in kind of an authoritative role, and I was like, oh, shut up. They're like, oh, Akbar could have done that role, and I was like, no, he couldn't have. I don't think it would have been the same, him given those
It wouldn't
lines.
have been quite as serious, would it?
Yeah. Trying to think who else.
Porgs?
They were used just a little too much. I liked most of it.
Yeah.
And I feel they didn't really use Chewbacca very much either.
No, he wasn't given lots.
He was just kind of set dressing.
Yeah.
And same to say with R2-D2, who literally appears in one scene.
Maybe two?
But
that's not really
at the same time, it's kind of how long do the sequel trilogy spend with the original trilogy's characters?
Yeah, that's very true, yeah. And I feel it did a good balance, like it did with Force Awakens. It manages to balance the old and the new characters quite well. Yeah, I thought it was it did take steps, significant steps with the saga. in new directions, which is very interesting. But
I'll say
whether they all pay off is
I'll say this:
seen.
go see this film. Don't believe the absolute negative of the negative comments that some of the
well, this is the
hardcore,
most like
divisive
start. Like Rotten Tomatoes, I had a look at. It's 95 critic score and 54 or something.
Yeah,
score.
And I think there's a lot of, to put it very bluntly, there's a lot of very salty fanboys out there that their theories ended up being wrong. Let me put it this way for you. You're wrong. Whatever you think's going to happen in The Last Jedi, you're probably wrong. One of your predictions ended up being correct.
Thank you. Wait, is that a spoiler? Have I talked about my predictions?
I'm talking about if they remember the podcast we did last season. It's just one of your predictions.
Yes. Well, okay, alright.
You know which one I'm talking about, don't you?
Vaguely, hang on. We'll go over this in spoilers.
But like I say, I really liked it.
I had to watch this twice. I've watched it twice now.
I need to watch it again.
Yeah,
like
so
I've not thought about a film this much after seeing it since I don't know when.
No.
And I think that's the thing is like.
But I wasn't in a rush to see it in the same way I was with Force Awakens. I think it was more to clarify like what I felt, and I don't think this is my strongest Star Wars film by quite a significant shot.
However, what I will say, and then I think probably move on to spoilers, is a film like this needed to happen for Star Wars to move forward.
Maybe.
Because if it just did the same beats as Empire, or played it too safe, then you're kind of, where does the main series Star Wars films really go from there? If they're just going to replay the hits.
That's true.
So I think a film of this nature, whether some of these plot points should have been left for episode 9...
I think something I'm going to say that's not going to spoil anything specifically is, whereas the prequels were kind of known for like somewhat over the top lightsaber combat, I feel this trilogy could be known as over the top use of the Force. Yeah,
although I like how it kind of did and didn't explain certain aspects of the Force in like new ways, like, and the kind of idea. Which goes back to like Yoda's teachings in Empire, is that it doesn't actually matter how big the thing you're moving is.
That's
it's
also
more
true,
like a mindset, because I know what you're referring to.
Yeah.
And also, like, a lot of people forget that Luke went from literally shooting rats to destroying a space station in the period of a film.
That's also true. Yeah.
So
I don't know. I feel I'm still excited for where the franchise is going to go, and I'm for the first time I'm like, where the hell is this franchise going to go?
This is actually the first time where I've been like, I have no idea, and I'm really excited to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, like,
I feel a tighter edit could have really made this a real solid film.
Possibly, yeah. God, I was going to make a point there, but you've thrown me off.
Should we move to spoilers?
We can do. Hold on. What was the point? Fuck it, spoilers. I'll remember. Anyway.
Okay, so spoilers. Well, actually, one of my friends suggested yesterday. Spoilers, by the way. Definite spoilers now.
So, if you don't want spoilers, go see The Last Jedi and then maybe come back and listen to this part of the conversation.
But yeah, definitely now spoilers for Star Wars Episode 8.
The Last Jedi. If you are leaving us now, join us next week where the topic will be the Cynical Optimists 2017 Awards. Follow us on our... check the description for all the links. See you next week. Spoilers.
Bye. One of my friends suggested, in terms of... I was talking about the edit and stuff, and they suggested it could have been really cool, because Holdow's big moment is launching through hyperspace through most of the First Order's fleet. That is an amazing moment. And from that point in the film, it's kind of... I feel it's like, wow, okay, now the film's getting into gear.
Yeah.
How about this as an edit suggestion? I'm going to credit... this guy for this suggestion, by the way. His name's Joe, top lad. He suggested, what if they do it like I think they've done this in an episode of The Simpsons before, where they show each, and it could have been a really new way of doing a Star Wars edit as well, in that doing each story as separate chapters, and they all converge into the same scene.
Yeah.
Where Holdo launches into hyperspace. I think that could have made it a really more interesting film, because I feel the whole fuel running out scenario, which is the basis of the film, drags on for way too long.
Yeah.
And Finn and Rose do their entire adventure while Poe's basically on a ship going, oh, we're running out of fuel.
But then at the same time, literally, you could break down most Star Wars films in that kind of respect. Like, the first one is about trade disputes.
That's true, but I don't know. I feel nothing happened in the plot for like a good deal of the film. It felt like an episode of Rebels, where they're just like, hey, they're tracking us through hyperspace. How are we going to sort this?
Yeah.
I think a much more interesting way of doing it, and how cool would that have been as an editing technique to like all the stories kind of converge, and then like maybe Rey and Kylo are having that duel to try and grab the lightsaber, and then suddenly you hear this massive explosion with the hyperspace thing.
What order would you do the stories in though? I think I might leave Rey till last.
Yeah, probably. But like, each time you sort of show the different sort of point of view on it.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a much interesting way. And the thing I was referring to earlier, the first thing I would have done, because they didn't alter this film for Carrie Fisher's death at all. For a second I thought they had, because there is a scene, definite spoilers, where it's in the trailer where Kylo Ren's about to shoot the bridge of the Resistance cruiser. He doesn't shoot it, which is a really cool moment, but then straight away 2 TIE fighters come in and shoot the bridge, and then Carrie Fisher's CGI body just flops into space in the most undignified way I've ever seen anything. Like, worse than Mace Windu in Revenge of the Sith, kind of falling through a window.
Yeah, that's one of the film's big missteps, but I don't know how they made that look any better.
Just, I don't know.
Or whether it would have been better if it just blown her into the hallway and then
exactly.
unconscious.
Perfect. Rather than that whole
Superman
Returns kind of thing. Like, she's launched into space, like, really violently, really... Like, the CGI is horrible when that happens as well, because she's there, Carrie Fisher, great.
Really jarring.
She's doing some great acting with her eyes because she's connecting to Kylo with the Force. And then suddenly, she's turned into, like, this CGI doll and just flops backwards, does a backflip into the vacuum of space. Just cut that immediately. Like, that should not have been in that film.
I mean, it was cool seeing her use the Force.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a... I appreciate what he was trying to do, but that was one of the film's missteps.
Or she could have done like a protective barrier with the Force or something. They could have re-edited that. Yeah. CGI is good enough that they could have altered that scene to look less undignified.
Yeah.
And I know, like, maybe, like, should you alter films depending on like character deaths? And
I was going to say, there's been films released after an actor or actress has died before. It's kind of where it's also what you think the person themselves would want.
And for a moment, I was nearly furious because I thought they had edited that in.
What, to kill her off?
Yeah.
No, I thought that
my jaw actually hit the floor for a moment there. I thought not because of like the context of the film, but the context of the filmmaking. My jaw hit the floor for a moment.
I thought that might have been always in the script, and that's why they weren't that worried about episode 9.
No, because I knew she was going to appear later in the film because they showed clips of her on Crate.
Oh yeah, of course they do. Yeah.
So I genuinely thought that was a post-production
decision
to kill her off by flopping her into space in the most undignified way, and my jaw hit the floor. But I mean, that whole scene, that's just, they didn't need to kind of like write themselves into that situation. They could have knocked her back or something in post, so like they
could have blown her into the hallway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or There was other ways to do it. I felt that was a misstep. I appreciated that they wanted to show her using the Force, but there was other ways.
Yeah.
I did like seeing Kylo Ren as an expert pilot, just like his...
That was
basically
cool,
in his family line.
Yeah.
And basically how he flies into the ship and just blows up everyone's X-Wings.
And going back to my Revenge of the Sith comparison, it opens on a space battle, which I'm always quite a big fan of.
See, I compared it to Empire in the fact that it's more a escape.
Yeah.
From a planet.
Although the evacuation of Hoth takes a lot longer. They're straight into the evacuation.
Well, they kind of they do it in a really weird way. They have the space bit of the evacuation from Hoth at the beginning of The Last Jedi, and the ground-based bit at the end.
Yeah. But I mean, this film isn't going to get as many comparisons as like The Force Awakens did to A New Hope, because it does go in its own way.
But the prediction I was talking about was Luke using the Force to project himself.
Yes, I did call that. That's a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah, out of all the things, unfortunately, no Jar Jar or no Return of Boba Fett.
No,
I think we're both also in your prediction. But no, I thought that was But we should... I don't know, should we... Since we're now doing spoilers, should we work from the beginning of the film to the end, maybe?
Yeah.
Just so we hit all the notes?
I didn't like... Well, I mean, I did like at first the big... is it the Dreadnought Star Destroyer?
What, is that Snoke ship?
No, that's... This is one thing I did find annoying as well, is that they... like... And why the pacing felt off as well is because there was 2 situations in the first half an hour where they're like, oh no, a bigger Star Destroyer, and then like a few minutes later they're like, oh no, it's Snoke's Star Destroyer, it's even bigger. I'm just like, stop, just get on with the plot. Stop sending bigger ships in that will inevitably just get destroyed. It's the Star Killer problem, isn't it? I think less is more sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool seeing Snoke's ship.
Yeah.
And
I like the shape. That's cool.
And I do think that opening kind of bomber run was an important one to set up kind of Poe's story.
And Rose.
And Rose.
Yeah.
And to an extent Finn's. And I kind of like... It was a very, very strong theme throughout the film. It kind of gets brought to head by a returning character later. But failure is the greatest teacher. And you see that with the fact that both Foe, maybe that's their ship name, Poe and Finn's plans both completely fail.
Yeah, and I like how Poe...
And I like how it's the 1,000,000 to 1 chance doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, if you're a leader, maybe you shouldn't be taking those kind of risks.
I really like Poe in this film, and I feel like they've kind of naturally brought him to a position where he could be like one of the leading rebellion members.
Yeah. No, I totally buy that the only thing that's holding him back is his own kind of
bit of arrogance. But then when he sees Finn try and do the same, he reflects on himself.
That's the kind of thing that comes to quite a nice full circle.
Yeah.
That moment in particular I thought wasn't really in character for Finn.
No, it was a little... Yeah.
It felt a bit forced to give the other 2 characters their moments.
Yeah.
But I do get why Finn would want to destroy the laser at any cost, considering his relationship with the First Order.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going back to the beginning, so we have the bomber run, which destroys the thing, but...
The Dreadnought.
Destroys the Dreadnought, but at what cost? Kind of thing.
All the bombers.
I like the fact that, as much as...
I like Rose's sister. That was a cool scene, yeah. I think I preferred her to Rose.
Yeah.
In those, couple of minutes.
As much as they go potentially a bit too far with it at points, I like the fact that basically Hux is a little bitch.
Yeah.
I like the fact that...
I like the fact he tries to pretend like he's
cool. Got some kind of authority, and that kind of really brings back the fact that these are just a bunch of Empire wannabes that don't really know what they're doing. The fact that Hux keeps on getting fucking decked by everyone.
Then we see the scene with Kylo and Hux and Snoke.
Yeah. See Snoke in the flesh.
We see Snoke in the flesh.
Or was it?
Or is it? Yeah, it is. Kylo destroys his helmet.
That's a very intense scene.
I really like that moment. And Kylo's great in this film.
Yeah.
In fact, him and Rey, have probably the strongest story. Him, Rey and Luke.
Yeah. Because I know Mark Hamill didn't like the treatment of Luke in the story. Apparently he said to Rian Johnson, I don't think this is what Luke would have done. But I think given what happened in the 30, 40 years since Return, I think an old jaded Luke, and given everything that happens in that you hear that he's done in the film, I would believe that he'd become old and jaded. And
there's a scene where they kind of explore how Kylo Ren was created, and the flash of anger Luke has, it's exactly that. And we've seen flashes of anger in Luke before. I
like the fact that they show it 3 times, each time given more detail.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, because
because Luke lies, then Kylo says
how he saw it. Yeah,
and then Luke explains.
Exactly. I mean, because we've seen Luke in Return of the Jedi when he's just slashing at Vader,
to cut off his hand.
Exactly. I feel that moment is you could see Luke just getting hints and flashes of not being true to being a Jedi.
And considering he got electrocuted by the Emperor, I could definitely see him telling himself it's for the greater good, and in a moment being it's for the greater good, and then being what am I doing? And then afterwards, I think that's probably the main reason he stays in hiding, is because would you want to if you almost killed your nephew, would you want to see your sister? Like, you would probably legitimately be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't want to see him anymore.
Absolutely.
Probably cut yourself off from the world, because, like... And I like this whole idea of don't worship your heroes, kind of, because they are just as flawed kind of motif that kind of gets... Because I think if Luke turned up and he was the perfect teacher and he's perfect and came at the end and saved everyone, that would have just been a bit predictable as well.
Definitely, yeah. And I like... well, let's go on to Ankh-To and the entire sequences on there. We get old and jaded Luke. We get a bit of self-discovery from Rey. And then Rey finds out the truth about Luke and Kylo. And then she buggers off to join the main plot. And then we get a Yoda appearance. I liked it. I thought the first shot looked a bit off.
Yeah. That very, very first shot. But after that...
I thought the colour was a little bit off.
Only on that first one, though.
Yeah.
As soon as it went in closer...
And as soon as he started moving around and stuff.
Yeah, it looked a lot more like...
But he's very green in Empire Strikes Back. I guess it's the colour of the planet and stuff like that, but
yeah.
It looked a bit too green.
And I thought it was very... I think the fact that...
The Force lightning from the sky was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think it was a one-off, though, that Yoda could do. I don't think all Force Ghosts can do that. I think a lot of people are like, well, does this mean that Force Ghosts could just, like, strike down?
Yeah, but no, to be fair, I quite like this idea, because they become, like, it's always been hinted at. They've always said, like, I'll become more powerful if you strike me down. And we've finally seen that, like, they do just integrate with nature, I guess, when they...
And I do like the fact that the whole... another one of the film's themes is kind of let go of the past.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that's why I said a film like this needed to happen at some point, because otherwise it'd continue doing the same cycles of, you know, the big bad and the plucky rebellion.
I think one of my biggest problems is the kind of on the noseness of this moving on. I thought it was good up until the entirety of the Canto Bite sequence.
Yeah, that one. I think it wasn't as subtle as
that planet and everything on it was horrible to look at.
See, I liked the setting. I love the idea of a casino planet.
Yeah.
But then I like the fact that all of the new planets
we spend a minute. We spend
thing.
like a minute inside the actual casino.
Yeah.
The rest of it is just horrible and contrived. The whole reason the police officers on Canto Bite are after them is because they parked their ship on a beach.
I thought that was reaching. I thought there was
fucking reaching and a half. Like
I thought it would have been a lot better if they'd been recognised as resistance fighters.
Yeah, exactly.
In a first order system.
Just chuck some first order stormtroopers on there.
Yeah, I felt that was a bit unnecessary. That it was basically a parking ticket. That got pulled over.
And they got tasered and locked away because they parked their ship on a beach.
Yeah.
What a load of bullshit that was. I hated that entire planet. I hated the CGI horses going through the city. It's the prequels, that scene. Like everything
that was
on
an
that
homage
planet.
to the prequels because it looked kind of nice, but it kind of was bad.
Just the whole movement of those.
But I think that kind of brings me back to what I said earlier. They didn't really know what to do with Finn. So he ended up being as part of everyone else's stories.
They should have put him with Poe. I'm still hoping for the romance between Finn and Poe. Didn't happen.
Well, Rose apparentally digging Finn,
Back
but he
off.
didn't really seem to.
No, that's true.
Reciprocate, did he? He was just a bit confused.
It's because he loves Poe. It's gonna happen. And then what else did we get on Canto Bite that I hated? Oh yeah, the final scene. Not a fan.
What, the final scene of the entire film?
Yeah. Goes back to Canto Bite and it's a kid playing with a Luke Skywalker toy, and then he goes and looks at the sky, at the horizon, and he's holding a broom instead of a lightsaber.
I like the fact that he called the broom to him with the Force.
Yeah, fine.
Because I like the fact that the whole point is from like Yoda destroying the tree. I mean, I know the books survive because you see him in the Millennium Falcon later, but he's kind of saying that they don't need to be called Jedi, they don't need to be called Sith. The new generation will do it how they're going to do it, and there will always be a new hope, even if it's not one of us.
Yeah.
And the fact that the kid was just like...
Just a bit on the nose, wasn't it really?
It was, but I thought it was a touching way to end. Like, you know, there's always hope.
Yeah.
You just need to, like, look for it in the right places.
That's very true. What else did we get?
So that's I don't think we need to go back to the Finn Rose plot. Like we're saying...
Oh, Poe's good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go that much into it because there's not that much to discuss. But he has a pretty solid character arc.
His cause the thing is, all of his plans fail during this film. And in fact, his plan with Finn fails so spectacularly that actually is the reason why the First Order can see the escape shuttles.
Yeah, I didn't like DJ as well, by the way. He was part of Canto Bight, so I'm bummed.
Oh, I thought that was a bit of a waste. He didn't even do
grating.
He didn't even do the redemption thing.
No.
He just kind of was just... He was a plot point character.
And he's one of these characters that Star Wars always insist on, where he just does a thing as like a character trait.
Yeah.
He did like the whole hello. I'm just like, that's just a thing you're doing. It's not a character trait. Like bloody Saw in Rogue One, where he just does a wispy voice for no particular reason.
Bogullet! Captain Phasma, again,
Great.
did fuck all.
Yeah. I've bought the Captain Phasma, the first issue of the Captain Phasma comic, which I'm going to give a read at some point, because I actually want to see her do something semi-interesting. So.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a shame that after her appearing in the trailers, she's literally in like 2 scenes.
She's the commander of all the stormtroopers, and she gets her ass handed
She's
to her.
literally the Jango Fett of the new trilogy.
Or the Boba Fett.
Boba Fett, yeah.
Take your pick.
Yeah, basically the very cool-looking character who does nothing cool on screen. But the expanded universe will have you know that they're actually very cool. And I thought that was a bit of wasted potential. And to get on to probably what is potentially a one that's getting a lot of flack as a plot point, Snoke is dead.
Good. I was glad. The only 2 ways I could see this film going were A, Snoke is Plagueis.
Yeah.
Or B, Snoke is no one. And Snoke was no one. And they killed him off.
See,
I did call a theory. I wasn't going to say this on the podcast, but I did, I bloody tell you. I thought Snoke was going to die, but I thought the Praetorian Guards were going to kill him. Have I told you about this one?
No.
Because they're based on Roman Praetorian Guards who would like overthrow their emperor if they saw weakness.
Okay.
Which I thought was going to be a plot point, and that would have been kind of interesting. The Praetorian Guards were actually pretty cool. And
I think that was a super cool fight scene.
Yeah, definitely.
Rey and Kylo versus the Praetorian Guards.
Yeah.
And just like throwing the lightsabers to each other.
Yeah,
and
that was an amazing moment.
That was a great
Kylo
scene.
turning the lightsaber. In fact, Rey meeting up with Kylo was like where the film actually got itself into gear, I thought.
Yeah, it's got a very slow start, the film, when it doesn't need to.
But it's unfortunately, it's like the last third, maybe even the last quarter of the film.
It's longer than that, because you've got that entire scene on the final planet as well, which is good. So it is... I would
say it's the final third.
I'd say the first act is slow, but solid. The second act drags on a bit too much. The third act is really good.
But it's literally a third of the movie. It's literally the first 2/3 are a bit of a write-off for me.
See, I still think there's plenty of good in the first third. It's just a bit slow. And I think the middle is just a lot of characters getting from A to B.
Well, I mean, I don't know, where I felt with Rogue One, I didn't think it was the strongest film, but I think at least the second half was great.
That was the thing we've been saying up until now, isn't it? That Episode 7 had a better front half, and Rogue One had a better back half.
But even Episode 7, like, the duel is amazing.
Yeah.
And the Han Solo death scene and stuff is amazing. And I like where it ends as well. I mean, I don't know. I think I got to base these films on like how many moments I actually give a shit about, as opposed to how many I don't.
Yeah.
And this, because of its edit, I don't know. This suffers as a film for me.
Although I'll tell you, crazy theory. Well, it's a theory that because I know you watch Star Wars Theory as well, which what he's saying, because I think he didn't like the film. But he doesn't think Snoke is dead. He thinks it's kind of the same as the projection that Luke did. It was just a test for Kylo.
No, I'm going to say Snoke's dead.
So I think it could go either way. I think it will depend on whether J.J. Abrams wants to play it safe or go hardcore with Episode 9.
I don't know. I think the only logical place I could take if I was doing Episode 9 is time jump. Like, significant time jump.
I don't know, I think...
Where Leia has... Because they're not going to do CGI Leia.
I think it'll have to have a time jump of a few months, at least.
I reckon a few years.
You reckon?
I reckon many years, where Kylo is now Supreme Leader and he's running the First
So
Order.
he's become properly established.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the First Order's built itself back up. And we kind of... I know we're saying about going down on the old structures and stuff, but I think take it back to its basics, where you've got like the all-commanding First Order, Kylo Ren's the boss, and then you got Hux as like the...
And Starkiller Base 2? Is that...
Like, sure, why not?
And...
But you've got...
And Weewoks.
And you've got a little band of disbanded rebels here and there. I think... I don't know. But also the reason why I would do that is, A, you could put Poe as the captain of the rebellion, or commander of the rebellion, and then you could do... Like, Leia has died, just of old age or something. Just do a time jump. And then you don't have to deal with that problem necessarily. And you could say,
to be honest, it wouldn't... To be honest, you could say she sustained some kind of internal injury from the events of Episode 8. And
maybe.
She passed away.
I don't know. I would go time jump and just say, like, oh yeah, she died.
Passed away
she died, but she, like, commanded the siege of whatever, and she, like, won these battles for the rebels, and she regained the rebel strength and that.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the thing. I honestly don't know where Episode 9's going to be, and I'm kind of up for like being excited.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know where it's going to be. I don't know when it could be. I don't know where it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be. But I think Kylo's such an interesting villain, and Rey's going to be a great hero as well. It's just I'm excited for where it's going to go.
I think I really like the idea of a salt plains planet with red dirt.
Yeah, that looked great. Yeah,
that looked visually amazing.
And Luke's force projection at the return at the end was
amazing,
fucking epic. Like one of the most epic.
And
moments.
when he just stands down all the First Order ships,
it's just,
and they just
the music that's kind of building up, and he goes out and he's like silhouetted against like the entirety of the First Order with like this red smoke and shit going around. I'm just like, wow.
And then he just dusts himself off, and then
it's
Kylo,
a stunning looking film as well.
I really like how Luke's final action was reminding Kylo that if he wanted him dead, he would be dead.
Yeah.
Because Kylo doesn't even touch him in the fight, and Luke could have basically, if he was there in person, probably beaten Kylo and destroyed the Force, used the Force to get rid of the rest. But I do like how he basically turned...
See, I think the point is Luke couldn't have done that. I think Luke was A, to remind Kylo that there's hope, and B, like, he was a distraction to that.
Oh yeah, it was a distraction so they could escape.
Yeah.
But it was basically trolling Kylo being...
See, I think Luke is an all-powerful Jedi, but I think in
his current...
he's
like
too
old.
He's like the Ben Kenobi of A New Hope.
I think, and that's why he kind of force projected a younger version of himself.
Yeah.
Because the first thing
Although he didn't use the green.
I thought that was... Because the thing is, the first thing that kind of tips you off is the fact that his hair's
because he's got the lightsabers.
And the lightsaber's the one that's been destroyed.
Broken, yeah.
And that's kind of like tipping you off that this something's not right.
I just want to see a bit more green lightsaberness in this trilogy.
Maybe... Well, Rey needs to build herself one.
I know, but she's using the same kyber crystal from the broken one.
Right.
I'm guessing, because, that she has that at the end.
Because she has both halves, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Maybe it's cut the kyber crystal and it'll be unstable.
Like
so
Kylo's.
She'll have a blue version of Kylo's.
Yeah, that'd look great. Kylo's lightsaber looks and sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, that fight scene between them and the Praetorians was just visually gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, you know, I mean, I work in a cinema. I might just, when I'm off work, I might sneak in, but just for the last, like, half an hour and just watch that bit again, because...
Yeah. The thing is, the main thing I appreciate about this film is it tried to do something new.
It did, yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people annoyed that their fan theories weren't true and it didn't end up... The same people who probably complained that The Force Awakens was too much like A New Hope and are complaining that this one's too different.
And that wasn't my problem at all.
No,
I think they take some liberties with the Force, maybe.
I
think purely because, like, okay, yes, it does bind the entire galaxy together, but, like, I don't know, like, Snoke's just, like, doing stuff with the Force that, like, Palpatine was, like, barely showing in the originals.
But then he has that, like, big kyber crystal ring, which is supposedly meant to, like, focus his Force power.
Again, with no explanation.
And still not enough to stop him from not getting chopped in half in about 10 minutes.
I mean, that was a great scene. Really interesting.
Yeah, and I like the fact that it's, like, it was so many twists and turns, and I've never actually been in, like... that much what's going to happen next in a Star Wars film before. I think potentially.
I think just for
Empire.
too long of a time, I was just like, when's.
But
when
I think
things gonna
I
happen?
agree that it could have done maybe with a tighter cut.
Yeah, because like it also because if there's so much like treading water in between like key moments as well, you kind of those key moments get a little bit lost. Like the second time I watched it, I picked up on Luke telling Kylo the exact same thing he told Rey about like what's going to happen. Like everything you just said is wrong.
Yeah.
And I like the first time I watched it, though that line had kind of I'd lost that line initially.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't know. Just a tighter cut could have solved a lot of this movie.
But yeah, I did like it.
I did like it a lot, and also like again that 3-point edit that my friend suggested or 4, I can't remember. Like,
maybe when it comes out, you could do that.
Yeah, I don't know. That could have solved its pacing issue as well because everything does happen at the end. We get the answer to Rey, we get the answer to Snoke, we get the confrontation between Luke and Kylo. We get most things happen at the end of this movie.
Yeah. But no, I liked it.
Luke died, didn't he?
Yeah,
well,
I thought that was...
He became one with the Force, actually.
Yeah, I think, from what I gathered, he basically expended all his energy.
Yeah.
Basically to have one last hurrah.
Yeah.
One last display
It was
of
fucking
hope.
epic.
It was fucking amazing.
And all of the rebellion as well saw him, like...
Yeah, because that's going to be another legend about Luke Skywalker.
Exactly, yeah.
It's how he faced down the First Order.
That was genuinely goosebump moment. That was incredible.
I think it's a real... I think he'll be back as a Force Ghost for Rey in Episode 9.
I want to see
I think that was
Obi-Wan Kenobi back as well.
I think that was a good send-off, though.
Yeah, so do I.
And I was really sad that was all we got to see of Mark Hamill, but as soon as I was like, they'll probably bring him back as a Force Ghost, I was like, okay, because I want to see more of Mark Hamill.
So the answer to Rey was that she was...
I like that.
So do I, actually.
I was like... Not everyone needs... I like the kind of underlying theme of not everyone needs to be connected to someone special to make a difference. You got Snoke, you got Rey, and then I know you don't like it, but the little boy at the end as well.
It's not that I don't like him, just personally.
What have you got against him? You're bullying a child.
He's a child slave or whatever. He's just brooming the floor 24/7, bless him. No, it's not him. Just the shot is a bit on the nose. And I thought it would have been cool to end on the rebels in the Millennium Falcon, like starting something in this iconic ship, going off into hyperspace, clean start kind of thing. That would be a nice time to roll the credits.
But Star Wars films always end with that kind of moment of somebody looking into space in wonderment.
Nah, well, Rogue One, they disappear into hyperspace and the credits roll.
Well, Rogue One's not a main series.
No, that's true. But yeah, I guess.
Well, 7 obviously ends with the lightsaber. 6 ends with all them happily like staring into space, wondering what's going to be next. 5 ends with
six ends with Luke looking all happy at some ghosts.
Yeah, the Force Ghost. But either way, it's it's a moment of almost tranquility.
What's your favourite ending? I reckon Empire.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, what's going to happen next?
But I don't think a lot of people have compared this to Empire. I don't think it's on the same level as Empire. By quite a long shot.
There's if you've ever heard of Nostalgia Critic on YouTube,
yeah, watch all of his stuff.
Because he did a video with his brother where they discussed it, and he goes back to a quote from George Lucas describing like repeats and rhymes. Like a repeat is when you do the same thing again, but a rhyme is where it's kind of thematically similar but not exactly the same. And I do agree with him. Is that there are bits that rhyme with Empire Strikes Back but don't repeat, whereas a lot of Force Awakens was repeat. So I feel there was certain bits. There was enough subtlety in bits where you're like, that's kind of similar, but it was its very own thing, which I liked. And yeah, I'm excited to get forward. I mean, saying all this, I would be troubled to rate it anything more than an 8.
I would be troubled to rate it anything more than a 6. Maybe a 5.
I think I'd rather a film that tried and failed than a film that didn't try. That just did was very safe and just gave everyone... But then, I don't know. I need to watch it again. I've only seen it once and I do genuinely want to see it again.
I thought, yeah, it's not... I mean, and the way they do move it on is... It could go in some exciting ways. I thought the only moment is that Leia scene in space. Like, that was an almost franchise killer for me.
That was just,
and I'm
that was a
massive
cringy
on
moment.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
That was the most I've ever like dropped my jaw in.
No, I
Worrishness.
audibly turned to my friend I was singing with and went, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was. But okay, yeah, I'm gonna go 5 out of 10.
I think we're going to go 7.5. It'd be max an 8, but I have a feeling it's going to be... Because the thing is, like, The Force Awakens is probably around a 7.5 for me. Rogue One is probably about an 8. So I think that probably sticks in the rankings.
I'd go Rogue One's about 7.5. Force Awakens probably an 8 or 8.5, 9.
Yeah. I don't know. The Last Jedi did just drive home for me how safe The Force Awakens played it, but then it needed to bring back the franchise.
And
So
it,
I
and
don't
it
know.
introduced the new characters perfectly.
Yeah.
Oh, Maz Kanata, real quick.
Yeah.
How does Poe know Maz?
Well, she has connections to the Resistance.
Yeah,
I think
but
that gets,
why does Poe know her?
I think doesn't that like, I don't know. It was a quick cameo.
It was a weird scene as well.
It was a very strange.
It's inevitably going to be a DLC in Battlefront soon. That scene.
I'm on a trade dispute.
You only have to. You can either unlock it for 1 billion hours playtime, or you can pay £20.
But her gun sounds a lot like the DL-44, which I thought was a nice touch. Han Solo's blaster
Oh yeah,
made the same noise, and she had a jetpack.
yeah. First, it was a fine. It was a fun little scene. Nice little callback to the Force Awakens.
But yeah, if I had a Death Star, as well as Naboo, Canto Bight would be on my to-do list. To clarify, to blow up list. Right?
Yeah.
Horrible looking planet. Get it out of here. Yeah, but okay. Rian Johnson does appreciate the prequels, though. I think he said before
Yeah.
on Twitter, and I did see a couple of nods. Like I really like the top-down view of Kylo with the stormtroopers behind him, and it mirrors Anakin with the clone troopers behind him in Episode 3.
Yeah.
That's a nice little callback. Kylo's great. I just can't wait to see more of Kylo. Every line was real. Every line was really raw. It's just a great character.
Yeah, and that's the thing. After The Force Awakens, I didn't think Kylo was going to be like that up there. I thought I was going to prefer like the heroes, and Kylo's just going to be, he's an alright villain kind of thing. But I really like him now. He's made his own.
I think I always just like the villains more. That's my thing with Rogue One as well, is I preferred Krennic to any of the Rogue One team.
To be fair, he gets probably more development than
Yeah.
most of the Rogue One team.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that brings us to a close.
That brings us to a close. The good news about all of this is we've finally had a relatively cynical episode this season.
Yeah,
Well, from me at least.
and even then we were trying our best to see the good. But yeah, that was finally something where we weren't just praising everything.
Haha.
Take that.
Take that, the biggest franchise of all time.
Yeah. See how your amazing opening weekend suffers now.
It made something like 350 million.
It had like the second best opening weekend ever.
It's
in
hit
North
its
America.
budget. It's hit its budget already. So
It's already made its money back.
yeah, and that's excluding merchandising, excluding all the porgs I'm going to buy for
Yeah.
Christmas. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's a film worth watching.
So join us next week where we'll be going over the best and worst of the year, or best and most disappointing, as I think it usually ends up being. Because since we haven't seen everything in a year, the worst seems almost like an extreme thing, whereas disappointing is kind of like more makes it a bit more
It's been a pretty good year for
personalised.
film and
But I think it's been a pretty good year for film and game, to be honest. So it'll be an interesting one. So yeah, tune in then. We will plan to make it only 1 hour this time. But no promises.
I don't know how long we're on. We're not that far over. 1 hour 10.
Yeah, but I think the news was slightly shorter this week.
Yeah, that's true.
Until then, follow us on Twitter at Synoptpodcast. Tune into our Alien series if you really want to see some cynicism.
If you want to see some real sci-fi,
If you want to see alien planets done right.
none of that Canto Bight crap.
We've got
I don't know what the planet's called.
shipping containers.
LV21775.
So that updates on Fridays. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much it. Thank you for listening. What did you think of The Last Jedi? Let us know. And yeah, see you.
Sorry if it was your favourite film ever, but it's not
well,
good.
you know, opinions are like arseholes. Everyone has one.
As Luke Skywalker once said. No, he didn't. No, he didn't say that.
You never know. Old jaded Luke might say something like that. But yes, see you next week.
Bye.
Bye bye.